Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Stuff I Never Learned from the Schoolbook. If you're watching me, that means it's 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, 2 o'clock Hawaiian, 6 a.m. Indonesian time, and late in Australia. Anyways, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. Thanks for watching. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Tom Springer, and I'm the host of this title up there, Stuff I Never Learned from the Schoolbook, and welcome. For those of you who do know me, what's going on? How y'all doing? Thanks for showing up, and I'm just going to jump right into this. I have on a guest who is outstanding in everything she does. I read all of her stuff. I have been following her now since I met her, and I've just kind of following everything she does. And I'm just going to let her come on and kind of talk, and we will all get the introductions out of the way so we can get into good story time. So everyone, welcome Kim to my show. Hi, Kim. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. So like I said, we'll get people that pop in and say, hey, aloha. How you doing, brother? What's going on? So we get people who will be popping in from all over the place to say hi, and you'll see me wave at them or whatever else. I don't really stop you once you're talking to say hi, but in the opening here, I kind of say hi. There's my wife saying hello to you.
Hi, Nicole.
She's been waiting for you to come on too.
It's been a long time.
Jamie's on there as well. Jamie comes on all the shows, and she's the other one who was going to geek out on this. The fact that we're doing the nerdy thing, the geeky stuff here. So she's like, "Oh yeah, I get to do this." So
Awesome.
do that as well. So welcome to the show. I'll let everyone know that you and I met. Hi, Deb. At one of the local shows we had here. And I just happened to come across you, and I told you how I kind of find people. I walked through was this Mystic Fest or was
It
this
was the Holistic Expo?
the Holistic Expo? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I walked through and I walked by all the different locations where people are at and all the different venues, and I just feel an energy from someone. And I walked by you, and I was like, that's a really strong energy. And I walked by you again to make sure it was you and not because you had a crowd around you at the time. And when I was able to pass you about the third time, it was just you, and I was just drawn. I'm like, all right, I have to go talk to you. So I went over to talk to you, and you and I got to talking, and the stuff you were telling me that you do that I'll let you explain to the crowd. I won't
Sure.
take the thunder, but it was just amazing. And I was like, okay. So not only do I need to meet you because your energy was awesome, but now I need to have you on my show so you can share that awesomeness with everyone
Right.
that's over there next to you saying hello all over the place. So yeah, introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. As you know, I'm Kim, and I specialize in past life regression, which is a form of hypnosis where you can experience another lifetime that you lived. The technique that I use is from Dolores Cannon, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with her, but she has lots of books about and YouTube videos about the different experiences that she's had with her clients as she has regressed them. So she started out as just a regular hypnotherapist, and then she discovered that through many clients that she was regressing people to another lifetime because they were talking about, yes, QHHT, Debbie, that they were like, if they were a female client, they would talk about that they were a male, and she was wondering what in the world's going on here. So she has developed this amazing technique that we can use to not only contact an aspect of us that is in a different lifetime, but also to contact our higher self, which is the part of us that knows all. It's like our oversoul, or, the bigger piece of us that we aren't always aware of, or intuition. A lot of people can call it many different things, and so I specialize in regression therapy, hypnotherapy. So I also do what's called recall hypnosis, which is where people that have experienced like maybe being abducted by aliens or something along those lines. And we can go back to the events as they happen, because a lot of times they'll only remember like a dream, just like little pieces of what they experience. And that's because the subconscious knows that they would completely lose their mind if they knew everything that happened. So as some healing goes on, they can go back and experience those things through recall hypnosis and figure out exactly what happened in detail.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then I also do, I'm a Reiki Master.
Oh, I was just saying, that's what Jamie's putting on there right now. I think she does
Yes.
quantum too. So
Quantum Reiki, yes, also.
Yep.
And that works with the 12 chakra system and DNA activation as well.
Very cool. So I warned you I was going to ask the question like I ask all of my members or all my guests that come onto the show.
Sure.
What brought you into this? What made you go, I need to know this much information about this much stuff so I can come on Tom's show and geek the hell out? So,
right. So, well, I worked in corporate America for years, and I just kind of kept getting the nudge that this wasn't the thing for me. So I fell into some people. Funny how, things work out like that. But I met some people that kind of led me into this spiritual path that led to many different other things. So I knew that I was always fascinated with the powers of the mind. So when I started reading, the first book that I read was from Michael Newton, and it's called Journey of Souls. And I was just enthralled with that book. Like, I could not put it down. And that was where he did the same type of thing as Dolores, but Dolores takes it a step further and allows people to go into not only a human life, but anything that has consciousness is whatever you can experience in Dolores's things. But after reading his book, I was like, this is what I got to do. This is me. This is my jam. I'm doing this. So I just went for it, and I, lo and behold, have made it all the way here.
So I have questions already. They're just like popping all in my head.
Yes. Sure.
So when you do the past life regression, do you actually touch on past lives that are non-human?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say about, I would say 70% are human lives, and then the rest are non-human consciousness.
And you can confirm, because I'm tired of people telling me that everyone who was in their past life was someone famous. Not everyone in their past life was someone famous.
Usually it's not. Usually Dolores called them like digging potatoes lives, just this boring, mundane life.
Yeah.
But it always gives them a sense of like insight to their life right now. They always get some kind of piece of information that really helps them.
Have you, sorry, I'm going to ask a lot of questions right off the bat because I have a ton of them.
No, that's fine.
Have you ever had yourself done in a past life regression? And has there been anything tied to your past that kind of ties to what you're doing now? Like, was it similar in the past to what you like kind of led you to the journey that you're now, that a past life brought you to?
Well, I've been in hypnosis quite a few times for past life regression. Usually when I go in, it's because I'm stuck in my life, and I'm like, I need answers, and I want to go straight to my higher self because I don't, I'm confused right now. So the past life, so like I said, I'll go straight to the higher self, but the actual like past life that I experienced, it didn't really tie me into like what I'm doing now as a career,
Right.
but it gave me a lot of information about things that were going on in my personal life that really helped me kind of move forward and understand why people were in my life that were there, whether they were like a thorn in my side or whether they were like my best friend. It all had meaning, and it made so much sense after I was able to like pull out of the situation and see it from the bigger point of view. It was like, okay, now they're not such a pain in the rear. Now I can handle being around this person.
Right. I have to ask, because I hold clearances and everything else. And this is something that I've been told that I may not be allowed to do because of my military clearances I hold and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Has that ever been an issue? Do you know of that being an issue with anything at all?
About being able to go into hypnosis?
About being, hypnosis or into the past life regression or anything else.
Well, usually anyone that says that they can't be hypnotized, we're in and out of hypnosis all day long and we don't even realize it. And really, if you are able to watch TV, you can be hypnotized. So, and people that they're driving down the road and then all of a sudden they're like, I don't even know if I just stopped at the last couple of lights back there. That's a form of hypnosis. It's a really light state of trance, but everybody has the ability to go into hypnosis because they do it every day. It's a really natural state of being. And I think with the military, they were more so shying away from that because they think that you can put false memories in there, or you can access information that they don't want people to know.
That's it right there. Yeah.
So there's that, but
yeah,
I mean, the subconscious knows what's best for you, and it won't release anything that you feel is going to be a threat to you or anybody else.
Okay. Good to know, because like I said, myself and a couple other military folks I know, we have been told by leadership, you're not allowed to be hypnotized because of the information you hold in that noggin of yours.
Yeah.
So,
yep. And that's usually.
I tell people, you know what, it's funny because there's absolutely nothing in here. It's just a big empty space. And stuff goes out. It's just like it flows right through. So
well, usually what that means is, like, even if you aren't gaining the information, like if you overhear something, a conversation that isn't yours and someone else's, your subconscious picks up all of it. Right. And so it's like a giant computer, and it stores all of this information. So even if you overheard something that wasn't, your conversation, it's still there.
Yeah, that's sad, because that's a lot of emptiness. I mean, that's a lot of conversation then going on in my head that I don't even know. So Jamie said it wasn't anything like on TV when she had it done. So
I'm interested to see what happened with her.
Yeah, and Jamie, hopefully her connection is good since she's actually talking. Last time she couldn't really respond to my show because her connection was bad, but she's one of those who will comment a lot, and she'll share information like this about what did happen to her.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Cue Jamie typing. But yeah, so but and Debbie said that she's familiar with the QHHT information as well.
Good, yeah.
Yeah. So, and for me, like I said, it wasn't anything that was on my radar until we met, and then and then I went to your site. Oh, hold on. Let's just guess what? Speaking of, it was on your site right there. For those people who don't know, Kim actually has a site, and it's called nextlevelhypnosis.net. I would advise you all to go out there and check it out. It's really cool. First off, when you open it up, and the just the imagery of it and everything else and the motion is very cool just on its own. I actually stood there and sat there and looked at that for like 5 minutes and went, oh, there's other buttons. Let's go here. So I did that and kind of wandered around for a bit, but it was a really cool site to go visit. And I would advise anyone who wants to kind of, it's a really good overview place for basically what each part is. And if they want to know more, how to get a hold of you and ask questions, and how to delve more into it and everything else. So and that's just opening up the site. That wasn't even going anywhere else yet. That was just the general right off the bat. So, okay, I got an answer from Jamie. So Jamie says, my ex-husband killed me, but we weren't us. So he's my karmic.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of that. Like I said, it gives a whole nother perspective of the people in your life and why they're there and why they're here now.
Yeah. And she mentions the name. She says, and I had past lives with Joe as well. And Joe is someone that she works with now on a paranormal team, on a paranormal site. They kind of do a lot of stuff out there. So
yes.
So she has ties to that as well. And then Debbie is saying, which I know you're going to talk about as well, is saying that she's unfamiliar with the quantum Reiki, though. And yeah, I mean, like I went to a Reiki session and everything else, a couple of them actually, and Nikki has actually gone to the 1 and 2 level Reiki sessions to become a Reiki. But what is quantum Reiki?
So the quantum Reiki actually works with a 12 chakra system. So that is, we have like our 7 that are within the body. And then we actually have more that are outside. They're in our etheric body. Yeah, I mean, it's in the aura, but it expands way up into like universal, galactic, cosmic, and then the divine gateway. So, and then we also have the earth star chakra. That's always a tongue twister for me.
For anybody.
But, yes, and that is, it's outside of our body, but it's farther into the earth. So working with those layers, we're able to see a bigger blueprint. Yes, that's it. Yep, soul star, earth star, and there's the universal galactic divine gateway.
And what do those? So like, I know that when you read just the 7 chakras, what they're for, what they line up, what they're supposed to help with, everything else. What are the other 5? I mean, what are their uses, I guess? Out there?
Their functions. Yeah, sure.
Right.
So, we have our human essence here, and we're aware that we are human. And so when we work with the outer layers of all that we are, that's when we have more access to, I always show all of my clients, like, this is you, this is all that you are. If you make a fist, like, this is your whole oversoul and everything that you are. And then you bring down just like a little piece of you, a little part of who you are into the human body that you are now. And then there's another piece of you here and here and here. So like the entire piece of you is something that we don't know about because we are focused on the human essence of that we are in this body. So it gives you access, just like quantum hypnosis, the quantum Reiki gives you access to the different pieces of everything that you are. And from there, you can heal any traumas, kind of like past life regression, but it's from a Reiki standpoint.
Okay. Yeah, and I flashed that up there really quick, but Jamie says super beneficial for starseeds.
Yes.
And Jamie is a starseed, multiple over, and apparently I am too. So yeah, I'm still learning about that part. No, Jamie, I've not contacted Holly yet, so get off my back. I knew that was going to be coming down the road, so I just thought I'd head that off now. And Debbie's saying, cool, I'm a crystal Reiki master, and I've worked with the 7 chakra system plus soul and earth star, but none above that.
Yes, so you kind of have to, like, I'll know, I do traditional Reiki, but I'll know with who I'm working with, whether I need to be in those layers or not. Layers are seed. Yep. So, people that are familiar, because you don't want to, like Dolores said, you don't feed a baby a steak. You don't want to like start talking about star seeds and galactic beings with people that are not, not ready for that. So I don't open all that up unless I have a conversation with them before we start out and see where things are. So you don't just jump right in with all of it. That's for sure.
I've been doing it wrong the whole time. Yeah. So, God, there's too many. All my voices are like trying to talk to me at the same time, and there's way too many of them. And I'm trying to tell half of them to shut up so I can figure out what conversation we're having here. But how do you attach to the other 5? I mean, I don't know how to ask that question better. I mean, because here, you put hands on heart, you put hands on throat, you put hands on third eye, but how do you attach to the other 5? I mean,
Well, so that's why it's called quantum, because in the quantum mechanics, we know that everything is energy. So that's why they're your subtle energetic bodies that are outside of you. And that's where you can go in and feel just like, so not all Reiki sessions, someone is touching you. It doesn't have to be hand on. I can hover. I can feel,
That's what she does. She hovers. She doesn't actually touch me for the most part, but she hovers. Yeah.
So she's actually feeling the energetic vortex of your body, which are those chakras. And it's just the same for the rest of them. Okay. You just have the intention that you're going to connect with that area or that chakra. And then that's when you'll have, you'll get the feel. For me, I can get the feeling and I'll ask for what needs to be healed, because I never want to say I'm the healer, because I'm not doing the work. I'm just being the conduit for the energy to go through.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the intention, and I'll always ask, like I always have a meditation before my client comes in, so that I can be aware of what they need, what their higher self is asking for, what they're, what would be best and beneficial for where they are in their life now.
Good. Yeah, we have other conversations over here going on too, because like Jamie's saying Asuya and Reiki, and then Jamie's also coming back with Lyran, Arcturian, and Canadian. Yeah, and I have been told a handful of times that I'm Arcturian, but Jamie's telling me she believes I'm also Pleiadian as well. She believes, and possibly others. I just have to go to the person that she knows of, who I can talk to figure out that stuff.
Yes.
Which I haven't done. So
usually that's the thing. If you start reading about some of these things, and you wouldn't stumble upon them unless you were ready to learn about them. So when you start stumbling upon those things and you have a pull, like, ooh, that's really interesting, I wonder what that's all about. That's your higher self guiding you to say, okay, this is part of your lineage. Maybe you need to look a little more into that. Right. And that was my biggest thing coming into doing this type of work, is empowering the people, because we, as humans, we feel like we don't have, the say to do anything, or we don't really, know how to heal ourselves. We're not taught the intuitive, natural abilities that we have. They say that we only use 10% of our brain, which is like, and so when people start realizing how powerful they are, how they can manifest and create their own reality, I mean, that just opens things wide up for people, because really the only thing stopping you from achieving success and achieving everything that you want in your life is you. It's the limited beliefs that people have about themselves that stop them, like, oh, well, I can't heal this, or, I'm going to have this for the rest of my life. That's going to keep you in that same reality for however long, until you change your mind about it.
Yeah. And that's kind of with any intention, really. I mean, if you say, this is, I'm going to be stuck in this location, or I'm going to be doing this, or I'm going to be doing that, it's feeding the negative, you're going to get stuck there. You got to find a way to switch that conversation around to a different way of thinking, and that's something that I have really, really been working on. So, and it's funny because you mentioned earlier that, we only use like 10% of our brain. So I still have 8 more percent that I can figure out how to use. So I'm getting there. That's good. So Facebook user popped in. If you didn't see, I said Facebook user said hello. And that is actually Joe. The one I talked about earlier that said Jamie works for Joe all the time out in Hawaii. Yeah. So he's actually listening to us from Hawaii. So,
hi, Joe.
So when you hear me give all the time frames in the beginning, that's because that's where a lot of our audience is from. The United States, and then Hawaii and Indonesia and Australia is where a lot of our audience comes from.
That's awesome.
So yes, you're worldwide right now.
Woohoo!
I this is just going to be a stupid question, but I just want to know, when you are past life regressions are, you said 70% human, and then kind of everything else after that. Is there, in past lives, can we be anything? I mean, could we have been an animal or anything else like that? So
anything that has consciousness.
It's kind of interesting to figure out how.
I can give you some examples of some things that I've experienced. With myself and clients. So some of the things that I myself have experienced is being like a light being. And I don't know if everyone's familiar with that, but it's basically just, you feel like you aren't confined to a human body, like flesh body. It's very light, it's very airy, and it was like a collective consciousness. So it wasn't just me, it was like I could understand what every consciousness in this circle, as kind of like a ring of consciousness, I could understand and hear and see and experience everything that they were experiencing all at once. And it was this amazing feeling of connectedness and love and compassion. And it was like nothing I've ever felt before in this body.
Right.
And so there's, things that we don't really have a word to describe like that, collective consciousness. We kind of just assume that it's all people together, and other things that I've experienced with myself and other clients is like people experience ET lives. I had one gal that was a dragon. I had another client that was like a bird type of being and kind of went to war with another race of alien beings they look like shrimp, I guess is what she said. So there's just all different kinds of things that could happen. I've had a lady be a drop of rain. She was a drop of water in a rainstorm, and she said the kind of the same feeling that I said with the collective consciousness is, she said in that storm system, it was just such an amazing feeling of connectedness and wholeness.
Right.
So those are just some of the things that I've come across. There's so many different things. I'm trying to remember them all because I've had so many amazing things happen. And it's just like, when you experience things like that, because like you said, I love to geek out about all the crazy alien energy, light being, all of that. So when something like that happens, I have so much gratitude, and I'm just like, tell me more. What do you consume? How do you live? Those kinds of things. So there was a gal that said, like I said, she looked like a dragon, but then it was like a human looking dragon. But the thing that she said that I thought was really interesting is that basically every living being on this planet, on Earth, we're known as like the living library. Every being on this planet has the ability to evolve into the consciousness of a human. So if you can imagine, like the praying mantis beings, I don't know if you've heard about those before, like the Lyrans, they're more of like the cat people,
Yep.
Anubis was the dog, so they all have the ability to become humanoid, but they're still, have the features of different animals, like the ancient Egyptian gods that were like the bird people and that kind of a thing. So I thought that was really interesting because it really gave me such a different perspective of the animals here, because it's like they all have that ability. I mean, I don't know where we are compared to where they are in evolution. I don't know. Sometimes they're far more evolved than we are. But
their ability to love unconditionally,
yes,
totally outdoes ours.
You got that right. So yeah, I thought that really was an eye opener for me to kind of understand, that everything that any sentient being can evolve into, walking upright and being
right. Oh, I've said it and I've seen it numerous times that if cats actually ever evolved thumbs, we would be in so much trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. When I'm interested in this because I haven't, as you know, I haven't done a past life regression, but I'm interested because in dreams that I have, I am so much faster, and the audience has heard this before. I am so much faster when I run on all fours than I am on my 2 feet.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm wondering if my dreams are telling me something about my past lives.
Usually.
So that kind of made me think of the question of, could you be an animal? Could you be this? Could you be that? Because a lot of times anytime when I have to run in a dream, I am always faster on all fours than I am on 2 feet, and run in that gallop type of motion. And I cover so much more ground. So I was wondering about that. If the dream state may be telling you something about your past.
Absolutely. So your dreams and your imagination are like the gateway to the subconscious and to the higher self.
Okay.
So that part of the mind is what is like the portal that shoots you there. So a lot of people will, disregard, oh, that's just your imagination. Well, the thing about your imagination is that your subconscious does not create. It only recalls. It only can remember things. So it's a giant computer.
Right.
So your imagination, if they'll be like, oh, well, that doesn't make any sense because that's never happened before, or you're just dreaming about things. They always dismiss it, but there is truth to that. And even I think Albert Einstein had a quote about the imagination, is that's if without the imagination, man is nothing, because we are an imagination of source.
Right. Yeah.
Dreamer dreaming the dream, or I get kind of lost on all that, because it's like, is the dreamer dreaming the dream, or the dreaming?
Right.
So yes, that the dreams are huge, and I have a lot of people that have very vivid dreams, and that always correlates to something that they've experienced in a past life. Mm-hmm. So have you ever tried to lucid dream before?
I would need you to explain that more, because I do different weird types of things in my dreams.
Right.
So, like, I can actually, so you're not supposed to be able to read and see numbers in your dreams, and I can force myself to. I can read what's on the paper. And I can alter what's in my dream if I don't like the way it's going. Mm-hmm. Alter it to go a different direction.
Yes. So that's lucid dreaming.
Okay. So then yes, I have.
Yeah. And so that's being aware that you're dreaming while you're in the dream, because when you're dreaming, your soul doesn't want to hang out in the body, because it's like bored. It's like, yeah, I know the body has to rest, but I'm not going to stay around 8 hours or however many hours. Most people don't get 8 hours, but
so yeah.
Right. So it just jets off and does its own thing, and I don't, who knows what it's doing, but you can it's kind of like astral projecting, but lucid dreaming is a lot like that.
Astral projection. So yeah.
Yes. So it's like you have an intention before you go to sleep. You are aware that you're dreaming. In your dream, you can create, you can change things. But I was going to say, you should set the intention that you're going to go back to when you're running and you're really fast on all fours, and then you can check out what you look like. Because one of the main things is, like, when you're in one of those experiences and I say, look at your feet, or how do you perceive yourself where you are, people are like, what? I have fur on my feet, something like that. And they're completely baffled by what's happening. So just being aware that you're in a dream and having the intention that you want to figure out what that is. I mean, obviously you could have past life regression and figure it out, but you could do it yourself too.
Cool. Yeah. And what's funny is I've been doing that. I learned how to control my dreams and adjust. I can adjust the people that are in there, and I can adjust the situations, and I can adjust quite a lot. But I've been doing it since I was very early teens, but I never knew that was something that not everyone does.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my friends about it, and they're like, dude, stop smoking before you go to bed. And I'm like, seriously. But yeah, it was weird, because I just thought that was something that people can do, and apparently it wasn't. And see, and Jamie's saying she can see numbers and words in her dreams, but it's more like astral projecting. Yes. Mm-hmm. But I know my two differences. I know my dream state versus my astral projection state, because my astral projection state, I prepare myself for it before I go to bed. My dreams I don't prepare for; they just happen. And Joe's asking here, can you travel into parallel dimensions in your dreams? I don't know if that's for you or for me. For my answer, that answer is yes. Mm-hmm. I know I can actually travel into parallel dimensions, and I also speak to other people in parallel dimensions or in other dimensions through my psychic abilities. So I know I do both. So
yes.
So like I said, I don't know if that question was for you too. Do you astral project? Can you travel in your parallel dimensions?
So I'm trying to figure out how to word that, because to me, parallel dimensions to me means timelines, and I don't know if you're familiar with timelines.
Yep. Oh,
but
I did an entire study on quantum parallels in college.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yeah. So you're fully aware of what it is. But so I feel like there are times where I'm in and out of parallel dimensions or timelines all day long. Or, I'll be in and out. And the one time, the times that I notice it the most are when I'll lose something. And usually it's like, if I leave my keys on the counter and then I go grab something and I come back and my keys are gone. And that's a really small, minute thing. That's not a big deal, but it's like, I know my keys were there and they're not there anymore. Put them back. So then, it's just things like that I'll notice. But I feel like I'm in and out of different dimensions all day long. And depending on your frequency, like the vibration that you're putting out, you will be in different dimensions because your reality is based on your vibration. And if your vibration is a lower frequency, you're going to bring in that reality of lower frequency.
Yeah. Apparently, I have a very high vibration. I don't know that, but people tell me I have a very high vibration. So I just take the word for it. And of course, my wife says, "Oh shit, watch out, people! Tom's about to nut out with timelines." Jamie follows it up with, "Yes, we are all in nerd heaven. We are folding timelines."
Yes.
Yes. So, and then she follows up with, "You lost your keys in the wrong dimension." So
it's happened.
Yeah, and it's funny because I explain to people, or I've had to explain to people, the difference between other dimensions and parallel dimensions. There are two totally different things. Because yes, like you, I believe and I know that parallel dimensions are timelines. Other dimensions are on our same timeline, just in different locations, whereas parallel dimensions are timeline shifting, not dimensional shifting.
Different place.
Shifting. It's
it's almost like the parallel dimensions are almost like a dimensional shift of consciousness. It's almost like a knowing of, like shifting of consciousness and our timelines.
Yes.
That's kind of how it's easier for me because dimensions, like you said, to me is more like a different place.
Right.
Like third dimension now.
Yep.
And then shifts of consciousness to me are like timelines.
Yeah. And I agree with that because that's how I have been taught it and that's how I know about it. And Melody wants to know, which parallel universe is this again?
I don't know.
Right now, this is our present parallel universe until we shift to the next parallel universe shortly. How's that?
That works for me. I can't keep track anymore.
Yeah, and it's funny because I always explain to people a shift in a parallel timeline, literally for me, is when you see a glitch. That's something wrong with the timeline. Something happened during that timeline that it glitched, and it's trying to recorrect itself. We're trying to maneuver back to the time it's supposed to be in. And a lot of times I will explain to people that's when you have that matrix moment of, oh, there's that again, and it's a repeat. And you're like, whoa, wait, didn't that just happen? And I'm like, that's your short-term deja vu. Very repeatedly short deja vu compared to your long parallel shift of that was a long time deja vu. It's still in that parallel timeline, that parallel shift. It just happened much later or earlier in that timeline shift along the parallel lines. That's why you experience that deja vu.
That's so fascinating. When I started learning about quantum physics, the thing that really got me was the observer effect.
Oh yeah.
Which is like, does the tree fall in the, if the tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? And it's like, there is no tree if you're not there. And I'm like,
why does it matter? Because it's not even there. Yes.
Yeah. Just like right outside, we're all inside on our computers, and right outside there's no such thing as outside right now because we're not out there observing it.
Yes, this is along the same lines of the, which is funny because when you talk like that, it's the same lines that ties into the Schrodinger's cat method.
The what?
the Schrodinger's cat. Is it alive in
Oh,
the box? Is it dead in the box? And you won't know unless you open up the box.
yes.
So it's along that same timeline when you're talking about stuff like that. So see, now you're in my wheelhouse. So
It's fascinating.
so this young lady right here, Zhang, I always stop and say hi to her because she is the wonderful friend who comes and visits us from Indonesia. So I always say hi to her. So she is 11 hours ahead of us. So it is nice and early for her, but I am happy that she pops in, and she always is nice enough to pop in to say hi and come visit our show. So
Hi, Zhang.
hi, Zhang. And then Facebook user, also known as Joe, says, I met anyone. Oh, wait, he says, yeah, anyone but parallel as in other realities. In my dreams, I'm at home, but it doesn't look like my home. And I've been to it many times, a house I don't know on the side, but is unequivocally home. Yes. Yes. That's that shift in dimensions, not in timelines.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your separation there. Wow, Jay, you walked into a really deep, nerdy conversation. Just so you're aware.
Might take her a bit to catch up.
You're like, wait, what? But yes, and that's it's funny that was brought up because again, before I started saying hi to Zhang, that was the Schrodinger's cat method that I used talking about the timelines, and the method of right now I'm in here, so nothing outside of my window, which is actually what I'm pointing out, exists because I can't see out of it because I have curtains closed, so that doesn't exist. And that came to the whole thing is that if you put a cat in a box and you leave him long enough, is he dead or is he alive? But you don't know until you open the box. So until then, the cat doesn't exist.
Exactly.
You don't even know it's there.
And that goes along with the subconscious.
Right.
That's the same thing. You don't know that it's there unless you already know about it.
Unless you've already witnessed it, yeah.
Yes.
So yes. So holy cow. Yeah. Yeah, yes. I can. These are the kind of shows I can do all the time.
Yeah, I love talking about this kind of thing, and not a lot of people can talk, totally geek out about quantum physics because it's not an easy thing.
It's not
to understand.
It's not. Yeah,
we're just like stumbling upon the surface of all of this. Even the scientists,
Yeah, this is like one speck of sand on a beach.
Yes, absolutely.
And because we did the study of the 29 parallels, and then I said, well, I think there's 60 parallels, and the way I came up with the 60 parallels is because I said for everything that we look at on this world is broken into 60s. There's 60 seconds, 60 minutes, and then there's like when you look at even our coordinates, there's 60 seconds, 60 minutes. There's all these different coordinate grids that are 60s everywhere, and everything falls on a timeline the same way. 60 seconds, 60 minutes in our time is the same as a 60 seconds, 60 minutes in our coordinate system. So so since there's 60 of them, I believe that there are 60 different parallels that we play with throughout
on a given time.
Yeah.
Wow. I was just watching Cosmic Disclosure a couple days ago on Gaia. Have you found that yet?
A lot of people have mentioned that to me, and I just haven't gone out there. So I need to.
They talk about how the ley lines of Earth are kind of like cosmic highways, and that there's actually, they found that they think there's ley lines of the entire universe that they use as highways and like portals to just move in and out of dimensions. And
I've heard that before too. And I've heard that the highest ley lines and the highest parts are identified as peak moments where other dimensions can meet and talk to each other.
Yes. Yep. That's exactly what they talk about.
Yeah. Weird. Because I didn't see that on Gaia because I haven't been out there yet. But yeah, that's something that I've always had an understanding of, and that I don't know. And the whole thing is I don't know if I've watched that or if that was just a belief I had by reading what I read. So I don't know where I came up with that, but that seemed to jive with what was in my 2% brain right now. So,
yeah.
Joe says this is kind of stuff that they talk about. He and Jamie talk about stuff like this.
Average day.
Collaborative lines, Merkaba, Reiki.
Yes.
So yeah. So this is, so like I said, I told you the audience would also be able to understand and follow along, or if not, they'd be like, This is still cool. So yes. So but you mentioned, I don't know how you word it specifically, but you talk about a fifth dimension, 5D.
Mm-hmm.
How do you work with that? What is it that you do with the 5D?
Yeah, so it's 5D life coaching.
Yes.
And in that, the 5D, so what we think about in 3D is it's, I don't want to say lower as in like a bad thing, because I don't want to put anything on a pedestal.
Right.
But when we work in 3D, there is a lot of, polarity. There's a lot of heaviness. There's a lot of polarity in the 3D, in third dimension. So when we can pull back and look at things from a fifth dimensional perspective, which is where we have these 3D problems, like how am I going to pay my rent? I just got in a big fight with my significant other, those kinds of things. And then we get really wrapped up in like the day-to-day rat race of life. And it's really hard for people because of the stress and the anxiety and the pressure that we all feel being a human being, to kind of give people a different perspective and pull out and understand, just like I said, when you contact the higher self from a QHHT session, it gives you a different perspective. It gives you the bigger piece of everything that you are, to help you see things as you are so much more than just a human being. You are so much more than just supposed to be working all day, every day, paying the bills, taking care of the kids, going to work, going home, going to sleep, make dinner, all those things. Like, there's so much more to life. So it's just like pulling back and seeing like, what is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? And it just gives you a different meaning and insight into everything that you are. And like, ask those questions. What are you here for? What is your purpose? What do you want to do? What gives you joy? What are some fun things that you like to do with your life? It just allows you to see things from different perspective based on different frameworks of the level of consciousness that people can see things from.
Right.
So it's kind of like, so 5D is, I don't know if you've heard of the New Earth. I'm sure lots of people talk about the New Earth.
Yeah.
So they have the 3D, and the 4D is like the portal of Earth moving from 3D into the 5D. Well, 5D is based on frequency of love and gratitude. So when you can look at everything from a point of view of love and gratitude, it allows you to view your life in a completely different way than stress, anxiety, pay bills, take kids to school, and make dinner, go to bed kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it gives you more meaning and more depth and more insight into everything that you are.
So let me ask this question. I just want to see if I'm doing this right. So I'm asking you. I don't want to say regimented, but I have a very steady pattern of what I do.
Yeah.
But lately I always ask the same questions. But lately I have decided to modify that thought process, and I've started asking different questions that I would have never asked before.
Yeah.
Is that a form of doing a 5D move?
Switcheroo. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it was just something that I was like, and I don't ask the question, like, I do that. I'm like, all right, so what am I making for dinner tonight? What do I have to do at work tomorrow? What do I have to, it is very, very
routine.
Yes, very the same pattern all over. But then all of a sudden I said, okay, well, I'm going to do this. And then all of a sudden I threw in but why am I doing that? And I made myself think about it for a second. I'm like, oh, crap, why am I doing that? So,
yes.
it stopped me from doing it stopped me from just following that same pattern and making me go, but why am I following that same pattern? Why am I stuck in, I don't want to say stuck, that's a poor term, but why am I allowing myself to stay in this one motion rather than moving to a new motion that may better me, or that may take me out of this whatever I'm in and allow me to move forward?
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I mean, very, and when I say I did that recently, I mean, I literally did that like last week. I was like, I stopped, and for some reason that question came into my head, and I went, holy crap, I think I just had a moment. So,
Well, and the awareness is the most important thing, because most people are like, I don't know, I've never asked that question. I've never thought of that before. So when you pose something like that to someone and you get them thinking out of that regular train of thought that they have, it starts like rewiring the brain and start, literally, I think Joe Dispenza talks about that too. If you start asking those questions, because that awareness is the most important thing that you can have. Because once you know about something, then you can start making changes for betterment, It's not being, like you said, not stuck, but just kind of that pattern of routine and pattern of doing things a certain way.
Yeah.
And then when you start asking those questions, then it brings in like, why am I doing that?
Right.
Is there a better way I can do this? Is there a different way I can do this? Because you open it up. So that's what is great about 5D, is that when you open it up to all the possibilities, like, what should we have for dinner tonight? Like, instead of, no, we're having this, and I bought this, so it just kind of leaves it open for the universe to supply it for you,
You did that with dinner, because tonight was one of those nights where I just instantly went to the cabinet, and I'm like, you know what? I really want to make something simple tonight, so I instantly grabbed mac and cheese. But I went, but is that really what I want? And I was like, but is that really what I should have? Because, and then I started thinking, oh, I got vegetables I have to use. I have this I have to use. Oh, maybe a better alternative would be to do stir fry tonight. So I switched it up to stir fry. But yeah, instead of me just going for exactly what I first grabbed, I made myself think about, but is that my best choice? Which is something as simple as that. Kind of
that gets the ball rolling for you.
Right. Jamie is asking if you are on Facebook.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
She is. I don't know if you have a specific site. I just go to your site. And
if you,
so
I believe it's past life regression. I can look. I think it's next level past life regression.
And then,
but it's just next level hypnosis on, and then it has my logo.
Yeah.
It's like black with gold and white writing. I should know that, but I don't.
And then a couple of people were talking. I know that Facebook user Joe was saying, it sounds like exactly what you were saying to me today. And she says, yes, we are all here for a reason. So, so they're chiming in as well. And it's pretty interesting how this is kind of rolled in, because there's things that I have not thought about. And I am a very, Nikki will tell you, I'm very much a thinker with my 2% brain. And about the stupid, useless information all the time that I'm always thinking about. But these conversations like we're having make me ask a different side of questions that I normally don't ask. And I'm frustrated with myself that I don't do that when I'm not on the show. But it lets me know that I can do that, and I'm learning it while I'm on the show.
Absolutely. And it's all about the experience. So it's all about having the experience in a human, in a human body, having an experience. That's all we're doing.
and it's and like this person right here, Mr. William Nighthawk, great, outstanding person right here, just so you know, William Nighthawk. He's one of those two that him and Miss Jamie Whitaker have lately really made me start thinking about some of the stuff that I need to be asking, just in general. And because I don't know if you and I had that conversation, but I am very new to this world, to learning about my abilities and everything else. I only learned last January. So it's very interesting, because I really don't, I am self-proclaimed very lazy. I don't like doing the meditations. I don't like doing the research. I don't like doing the readings or anything else. But talking to them is kind of forcing me to change that adjustment. I still haven't done it, but I'm getting there.
Right. Sometimes I feel like we get really entranced with something, and then we just like go all in and overboard and in over our heads, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I cannot process all this. So it's like we take a long time off, and then we'll come back into it again. So
yeah. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm being told that I can do all these great things, but I have to practice, and I don't wanna.
that happens.
So,
But the nice thing about that is that you are accepting of it. And a lot of people, like I said, the biggest thing that I want to do is empower people. I want them to know that there's so much more than what they're told that they could ever be and beyond.
Right.
You know, you're not just a human being. You can create your own reality. You can manifest whatever you want, you know?
Right. Yes.
So, yes. But the biggest thing is to accept the abilities that you have. And if someone tells you, you know, yeah, I think you're really good at this, or, well, I can only do this. I can't do what she's doing, or she can see colors, but I can't. I only hear something.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't have to compare yourself to anybody else because you can only be you. You can't be everybody else. So it's just kind of giving yourself a little bit of slack and like, okay, so I'm going to take a little bit longer to develop my abilities. Big deal.
What's funny is I'm the opposite side of that. When I realized that I was a psychic, I thought my other side stuff, like I can talk to elementals and I can see auras and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I thought all of us could do that. And I'm being told, no, we don't all do that. I'm like, well, what do you mean we don't all do that? I'm like, that's very unique to you that you can do that stuff. And I'm like, but aren't we all the same? Like, once you're a psychic, you just realize you all can do the same things. And people are like, no, dummy. Stop being a newbie and find out, do your research and find out that not everyone does the same things. And I was like, I'm sorry, my bad, but I'm going to let you tell me because I'm too lazy to look it up. So, yeah, it was very interesting to figure that out. And see, and I get yelled at like this all the time from Mr. Nighthawk. Walking in both worlds is a learning process, brother. There's so much more inside of you. So I really do listen to William a lot. I'm probably one of the only people that call him William. Everyone calls him Nighthawk because it's just such an awesome name. But I call him William. He's an indigenous person, and I am as well. I have, but I don't have anyone to fall back to find out about my past. So or side of me. So I really lean on William, and he gives me good insight like this. And so it's very cool that I have a surrounding community to help me learn more if I actually take the time to learn it.
It really is, because it's not an easy thing to find community with those kinds of things.
Yeah. See, she's like, yeah, I can't read auras. And Jamie just popped up. I was looking at someone, all of a sudden I just saw their aura, and I went, holy crap, I can see your aura. She goes, no, you can't. I sure can. She goes, what color is it? I told her. She goes, holy crap, you can see auras. Okay. So, and she's saying that she's too lazy. So now Jamie pops in with, I'm too lazy to learn how to read auras. See? It happens.
Yes. For our 2% brains to, right?
Right. 2% brain. That's what I'm gonna start. And it's funny that I'm using the word that I'm using 2% too, because today someone at work decided that I was they're gonna start calling me Deuce, because my number always comes out to be 2 for everything I do. So you always come up with the number 2 somehow, and it's kind of, and now I'm being blamed because see, now Jamie's saying the laziness is contagious. So
I think we all get lazy eventually, and then we'll pull out of it, and then we'll go back.
Right. And William is letting us know that manifesting is a huge part of the learning process, and I can get there.
Yes.
So, yes, I totally believe that. I know that I have it in me, and I will get to the part where I work on this as much as I do my golf game. So what else cool? I mean, what else cool are you doing that you're working on, that you're playing with, that you're learning about?
So the cool thing that I have kind of been doing, but not really advertised about it, was the recall, subconscious recall, which is, like I said, it's like dream interpretation, and it's also, some people call it alien abductions. I don't necessarily like that term because I don't feel like that's what it is, but it can be very traumatizing for people. So to kind of go into that and discover the true events that happened to people that have had a horrific experience like that is really helpful for people to discover what really happened, because they just have like snippets of what they think happened and what they remember happening. But like I said, the subconscious always blocks a lot of it out because we can't handle that at this point in our evolution. So I feel like disclosure is coming. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, yeah, right, aliens are a joke. But if you don't believe that there are other
right?
if you don't believe there's anything else out in the universe,
we're so arrogant that you think we're it.
And maybe in their reality they are. I don't know. But to me, it's like a no-brainer that there's stuff out there. And I think a lot of times people have a really negative connotation with like the gray aliens. A lot of people have a negative connotation because they watch movies about it, and there's lots of horror scenes with that Hollywood puts on anything that's alien nature. So we automatically have a fear of ETs because that's the image that Hollywood has imprinted on.
Even media has done that. I mean, all the way back to the Roswell files. And that's that was media and everything else tying that in there. So it's not just the movies and the TV shows. It's everything that they've nothing outside of like literally the movie E.T. and stuff like that. It's portrayed it in a positive light. It's always been, oh my God, they're scary.
Yes, where they're coming to dissect you. And you're right, Jamie. You're totally right.
Oh, sorry, I didn't read that one out. So, Jamie, for those of you who are listening, not watching, says some of us agreed to allow downloaded information in abductions. Quote unquote. Yes, I have actually recently, once Jamie and I started talking, and we had a guest on my show here as well, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, I know now that I am a starseed, and I'm like, and I'm cool. Let's come talk. I want to know about it. And I'm very open about it and everything else. So, to whatever is listening out there that wants to, you were a Turian at one point. You want to know more about it? Well, let's bring you on and let's have this chat. And I'm like, well, come on, let's do it. So, but I don't know, maybe they're like, only 2% brain. Maybe we can't work with him yet. He's got to build it up a little bit out.
Well, and they say that the government has been working with aliens since like the 50s or even earlier than that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and like on cosmic disclosure, not to keep bringing that up, but there's just like, they talk about some of the stuff that the government does and has that is beyond anything that we can even imagine. Like they have their own portals where they have humans go into different dimensions, different planets.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's like, why do we not know about this? I mean, I'm ready for that. I don't know about anybody else, but maybe it would cause mass hysteria. I don't know, but I feel like we're ready, like
one of my past guests, Jessica Jones, talked about that. She is the cryptid huntress is what she calls herself. And she hunts cryptids, and she talks about when they were hunting a cryptid in a location, there was an energy that you can actually walk into. And when they tied ropes to each other, because when you walked into this area, that person disappeared to walk through a dimensional area.
Yes.
And they brought that person back out. They were like, dude, it was like really weird, but it was hard to describe because it was so different than what we're used to. But they definitely knew they were in another dimension. They walked through a portal. And she was on my show and she talked about that as well. So we know they're out there.
Yes, they're all over the earth. That's what they said.
In general, they don't talk about them out loud because people don't want to believe them. Melody does state that I was zoning out in the bus once and a random person asked if I was in the 5D. We ended up talking about different dimensions for the rest of the trip. So,
awesome. What a fun trip.
Yeah. And then so he's talking about me and William are both prior military. So he said, yeah, you can trust the government, just ask me. And he's also talking about their weekend discussion, on another show called Morning Brew, which I actually promote. They are going to talk about cover-ups and everything else. So that's cool. Going to have a lot of the UFO stuff on it and everything else. And Jamie comes back with, we're definitely at least close to ready. Well, I think some of us are closer than others.
I think so too.
I don't think we're ever going to get a world consensus on that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
We just want to be blind and obtuse to the whole situation. Wow, I actually found a way to use the word obtuse today. That's pretty good. But yes, they just want to, just be left alone and sit around and color in their own little world, which is cool. Good on you.
Yeah. So one of the things that Dolores talks about that she found with one of her clients is that they talk about the background people. Mm-hmm. And this just blew my mind as well, because what she says is that, so we're basically in the Matrix, right? Like this is a holographic universe that we're in. And that when we go to like the airport, that there are only a certain percentage of people there that are actually souls evolving, and the rest of the people are like NPCs, non-player characters, right, or background people. So they're not actually people that have souls. They're just a group of energy that are back there. So I'm like, okay, so what percentage of mass consciousness is actually like a soul evolving? I don't know. It blew my mind too. Some of the stuff.
It's funny because I relate a lot of things to movies, and that conversation you just had, if anyone has actually seen Free Guy, with Ryan Reynolds, where he's like a background player in a video game, and he ends up wanting to be the main character, and he makes himself into the main character. That's kind of what that is. It was just think of over and over again in the background. So
yeah, it just makes me think of the game Sims all the time. People playing.
All the wandering,
right.
Yep. Yeah. So I want to ask you a question though about your recall. Is it only tied to things like alien abduction, or are you, if you haven't already, are you going to possibly use this for things that could help like law enforcement or anything else? Like when people claim that they, when people say, oh, well, when I was younger, this happened to me, and they're just now remembering it, but they don't remember the whole thing. Such as if they were abused or anything else or stuff like that. If they had such a traumatic event in their past that they just don't remember it, are you able to help those people as well with the recall, not just what we would consider like alien abduction or anything else? Yeah.
Well, usually, I mean, that's a typical regression. That's what you would do. Like, because I'm also certified in traditional hypnosis. I focus more on the recall and the past life regression, the quantum hypnosis. But in a typical regression, that is what you would focus on, is going back to the time of trauma, because based on the trauma, your subconscious creates these like protective pieces and these patterns that you start, developing to keep you able to survive in your life. So then, as a child, you have these protective layers, and then as you get older, you still have those protective layers because your consciousness doesn't know any different. Your subconscious doesn't. Right. So that's where most people fall into like midlife crisis, or they go into like alcohol addiction or drug addiction or whatever it may be, depending, or they might pull out of it just fine. But usually it's something that has happened in your childhood that is creating this dilemma for you in your life now. So I specifically focus on the ET contact, the missing time. Like there's a lot of times where people will be gone for like 4 hours and they have no idea what happened or where they went.
Right.
And then there's also dream interpretation, which I told you is like basically the portal. Your dreams and your imagination are the portal to the subconscious or the higher self.
Right.
So I specifically focus on those. I have done what, like you said, to go back to traumatic, working with law enforcement, like this did happen. We can go in and figure out exactly what happened and how the events played out, like putting pieces into the puzzle that we're missing, so that you can get the full picture. But it's really heavy work there.
Yeah.
It was heavy for me. It wasn't. I didn't feel like I'm more of like to geek out in the quantum,
yeah,
the cosmos. So I felt like that was more where I fit in.
I'm sure this is going to be a yes, but I just want a confirmation on this. Have you noticed that there are times when your subconscious, and I say yours in general, not yours specifically, but the subconscious will create an alternate understanding of what happened to help cover the trauma of what really happened? Like it gives you a totally different line of what you believe happened, but when you actually put them in regression and they learn and they go to hypnosis, it's different than what they believed happened in the first place.
It is, because what happens is that protective layer of you is building a different perspective of how things played out, because it's protecting you. And that's why nobody has the same perspective of something. That's why there's so many different opinions and everybody is so different.
Yeah.
But because we all have different perspectives of everything, because our Rolodex and our mind, like our computer program and the subconscious, has just like, I don't even know, like billions and trillions of pieces of information that are stored there. And based on all of those experiences in that life, that is our Rolodex that creates how we perceive everything else in our world.
Yeah.
So I have seen things completely different than you have seen things. So when we look at something like the same thing,
yeah,
you're going to have a completely different perspective than I will.
And that's actually something that someone mentioned just on an individual basis. They said, if everybody in my audience and me look at you, every single one of us has a different perspective of who you are.
Yes.
So it's totally weird because it's based off of our past, off of what we've gone through, what our subconscious, what our conscious is, what environment we grew up in. Everything gives us a different perspective, even though all of us are looking at the exact same person.
Yeah.
None of us have the exact same perspective of who you are, which is to me just mind-boggling.
It is.
When you think about that when people look at me, they don't see the vintage bearded one. They have so many other thought processes in their head, and I use vintage rather than old. So that's the word I go with, is vintage. But yeah, it is the same thing with you. I mean, it's every single person has that different look. And so Nighthawk, I'm going to get back to your question really quick, William, but I'm going to bring this up. He said it's the drum circle perspective. He mentioned the drum circle perspective before. I'm not 100% remembering what you said, William. So if you could kind of write out a little bit, that would be great. But Nikki does point out the fact that kids don't look at me like that. For some reason, we don't know what it is, but kids are very drawn to me. And it doesn't matter what part of the world I am in, kids are drawn to me. They will just stop and they'll look at me and they'll smile and they'll just wave.
It's a high energy. It's your high vibration.
And a lot of times the parents are looking at me and they're like, nope. And they'll like steer the kid away. Not that guy. Nope. Nope. Anyone else but that guy. And it's funny because everywhere we go, we've been all over the place. Nikki and I have been all over the world. You know, I've taken her overseas with me a couple of times, and it's the same thing. They look at me and they just kind of get that, oh, that's kind of a nice, I want to wave at the nice guy. And they just like wave. And I just smile and wave back. And it's pretty funny. While William is going through his drum circle perspective writing, I'm going to bring up his question, which I said would be, what do you think about the cattle mutilations and human mutilation phenomenon?
Well, I think what's been long known is that the Greys are geneticists, and they are testing DNA. They're doing all kinds of things with DNA and molecules and, all different cellular everything.
Right.
So they are changing what I think they're doing. And this is just my opinion. This is not based off of anything that I have experience with my clients or anything else. Is I think that my perspective of it is that they have lost their ability to procreate, and that they have been cloning themselves for so long that
Mm-hmm.
there was like a glitch in the clone. And, you know, when you keep copying a piece of paper and it's like over and over, and then all of a sudden it starts to get a little lighter, or the color starts getting smeared a little, and it's not the same as the very first piece of paper, the original. Well, I think that's kind of what's happening with them, and I think that they are having an issue with procreation. So what I think that they're doing is they're kind of testing with our DNA, not just within the cattle mutilations and all that. I think they're doing that with all different sorts of beings on the planet. So I think they're taking the DNA and I think they're testing it, and I think they're doing all kinds of different things with it.
So I'm gonna come back to that, but really quick, William gave us an answer. Place the drum in the circle of drummers. Place the drum in the circle of drummers, and each one will see the drum differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and I have had the same thought process as you have, as far as maybe they're just testing, or maybe there's something going on. The one thing that I do wonder, though, I mean, they're supposed to be pretty smart beings out there if they're able to reach us. Why do they not? It's always cows. It seems like it's always cows. When the pig DNA is the closest thing to us.
Mm-hmm.
Why not pigs? You know, I mean,
Right.
just my personal question to me. And Facebook Joe is saying, yes, they lose a piece of the spirit or soul each time they transplant their soul into a clone.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Jamie states, I think they have always done that from the beginning of Earth School.
Yep, I agree.
So yeah, but I just think it's interesting that it's always cows that we see mutilated.
And maybe it's something within the cows. I mean, they'll have like 4 stomachs or something.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something special within their DNA that we don't really know about.
Theirs rather than the human DNA, because
right,
like our closest heart is the pig heart, and that's why pigs have been used for transplants and stuff like that in the past,
mm-hmm.
for experiments and everything else.
Right.
And their DNA, the pig DNA, lines up closest to ours as well. Pig and primate are the two that line up closest to us, which is very interesting that those are the two that line up closest to us, because pig and primate are nowhere close to the same family, but yet their DNA is the closest to us. So what does that say about us? So, but yeah, and that was something that I've never asked out loud, but I've always wondered that if they're taking cattle parts or DNA or blood or whatever it is out of them to study, to reproduce, or anything else, procreate, whatever you want to call it,
mm-hmm.
why not something that's along the level of our, if they're taking humans and mutilating humans, and returning and taking, whatever they need from us when they abduct us, then why not do the same thing with the animals? And Jamie's answering right there. You're thinking of that on a 3D level, and it's probably not even close to a 3D reason. That's probably true. But I am right now in a 3D mindset, and that's why I'm asking the 3D question. So, and yes, and that's very much confirms it. I'm seeing it from a human view, not a grade. Well, that's true. Damn it, Facebook Joe, find me a grade. Get that answer, would you? Because I want to know. So sorry, I'm only in my human form right now, and my 2% brain doesn't want to work that hard right now, so I'm not going to think that far into advance.
Well, I must say too is that, and I think Jamie already mentioned this, but at any time that anyone is being abducted or has had a contact with an ET, is that they have given permission outside of their human consciousness or human conscious awareness.
They signed that contract.
Allow that to happen. Yes. And a lot of people, you can even take that further. And a lot of people, this really blew my mind too, is that the grays that are contacting you could be you in the future.
Right. We actually had a guest on not too long ago, Christy Peterson, and she was an abductee, and she's talked about she did not remember signing the contract, but when they brought her on board, they reminded her of it, and they flooded the memories of her with her of her doing that, so she
Yeah.
could remember. And they said once she did that, she was very much at ease and at peace and remembered it, and it was very calming. And she was like, "Yep,
Yes.
I understood why I did this. I'm in total agreement of it. I was just now in my human form and didn't remember doing that in my form before that." So
and it's very traumatizing for them. That's why I do that form of hypnosis, is because when you get the whole picture, it's not a big deal anymore. It's like, oh, okay. Especially when you watch a scary movie and it's really scary because you don't know anything about, the scary creature or whatever.
Right.
And then you get a background about the scary creature and you're like, oh, that's not scary. It's just that.
That's not that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's like everyone being afraid of, like some of the sharks, and some of the sharks are only plant eaters. So, well, I'm not scared of that one anymore.
Right. But like we said, there's like this huge stigma about ETs, that they're this like horrible brain-eating thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, they've talked about. Oh, sorry, I got a really bad itch. They talked about. So, have you had to deal with anybody who has dealt with an abduction of somebody else who has not come back?
No.
Okay. That was a discussion that I was curious about, because it seems like every time we've seen or heard of an abduction, the person always returns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, have there been abductions where people just don't return? So
well, because Earth is like the place to be. So when they're here and in a human body, that's a big deal. It's like a huge thing for the cosmos, because I don't know if you've heard, like, there's a line of souls trying to get into Earth right now because of all the things that are going on. But in the human body, we have access to all that. We can be multidimensional. They can't come in here and live in the 3D because, we're not at that point in time yet. They can't do that based on the laws of the universe yet. So, so when they're in a human body and they're taken aboard, they're given, the ETs are given everything that they need, and then they're placed back here because they know that once they're here, then they have access to them whenever they want. So they're not going to keep them because they're retrieving data from them.
Oh, okay.
Like a lot of them will have implants. I don't know if you're familiar with the implants that are in people. Yeah. So they're just transmitting and receiving communication from the implants, and then they'll come in. Usually, it's like to change an implant or move an implant or remove an implant, because that's their communication receiver.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and Jamie's telling me that she lost that view when her bestie told her that she was an alien, a starseed. So yes, but yeah, like I said, that was just something I've never heard of. I've always heard of alien abductions, but I've never heard of anyone being kept. They've always been returned. So it's almost like they went, sweet, we got what we need from you, but you can't stay. You ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here. So
right.
So
and it was part of the contract, as part of, okay, while you're there, you're going to do this for us. Okay.
Right. Right. So, well, very cool.
And that would be interference. It would be interference.
Oh, yeah. Can't have that.
Nope.
So very cool. Well, I think I'm going to stop right there. If you're okay with that. Like I said, this is your show, so. But I want this understanding. I am stopping this at this point because I want to have you back on again.
Okay. Yeah. For sure.
And so I loved having you on here. I'm sure my audience loved having you on here. And I know there's a lot more we can talk about, but it'll give us time to have new stuff happen. And I know that you're always keeping yourself towards new stuff, and and I know we have things coming down the pipe. In fact, are you doing Mystic Fest coming up?
I'm not going to do Mystic Fest. I think I'm going to wait because, like I said, I've had a lot of stuff going on and lots of new integrations and a lot of things personal life that I'm just like kind of wrapping things up to gear up for 2023. So
yeah. So thank you, Jolene. Thank you for coming in and watching the show with us. It was great. Thank you very much, Jamie. You know that I always love having you guys on here. Kim, thank you very much for coming on. I am going to ask you to stay backstage while I close the show out. But before you go, I do want to throw this up there one more time. Remember, you can always go find out more about her right here, Kim Covert at nextlevelhypnosis.net. She does have a Facebook page. You can go out there. If you search Kim Covert, she will have a link on there too to her Facebook page. So you can go out there as well. I know because I went out there and found that. I just forgot to type it up on here. But right here is a very awesome site you can go out to. Like I said, I kind of got lost in the first 5 minutes just checking out the main page. There was so much out there. But once you get inside of that page, there's so much more to look at as well. So if you would, please stay around. But I do want to let you know that a couple more, like William, thank you very much, brother. Appreciate it. A lot of people enjoyed the show. So if you will stay in the back. Oh, look. Even Miss Suzanne said hi.
Hi, Suzanne.
Yeah, she said hi to you. So she's right there. Love it. Hi, Kim. So thank you very much. If you stay in the back, once I close the show, I'll come back and I'll talk to you really
Okay,
quick.
sounds great. Thanks, everyone.
A minute. All right, everyone. That's our show. Again, thank you for coming on. I love having all of you on here. Again, if you are trying to find me or you want to share this out with friends, all my stuff is right down there, facebook.com/Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook. You can go out to twitch.tv at Stuff I Never Learned. And if you go to youtube.com, instead of typing in that whole long thing, if you just type in Stuff I Never Learned, I'm the one that pops up. All of these are out there so you can share them with your friends. I'd love to keep sharing all of these out to friends and family, people you know, people you think may be interested in coming on to listen to us, because I think this is a great community that we can keep growing. As you have seen, we talk about so many different topics. It is everywhere. We talk, just now we talked with Kim, and then we also do stuff like paranormal investigations. We talk to cryptids, cryptid hunters. We talk to UFO alien abductionists. We talk to authors, storytellers, everything else that we can, because this is such a great community to be a part of. And I'm very proud to be able to bring the show to you all on Monday nights at 7 p.m. So please continue to watch. I love you all very much. Have a great night. And I will be seeing you next week with a new guest. Actually, let me find out if I can identify who my guest is really quick. So I can give you that information. Hold on one second. I just got to look at my phone really quick. My next guest coming on after Miss Kim Covert is... I have Kelly Miller coming on. She is going to be another fantastic person that I met here in the local area. You're not going to want to miss her either. You don't want to miss any of my guests. All my guests are fantastic. You can tell that just by seeing who they are. But anyways, very, very appreciative of all of you. I love you all very much. Have a great